11, a state of emergency.
If I've learned one thing over the course of the past 2 weeks, Mother Nature makes the rules.
The storm stopping the tea in its tracks.
And it's causing roofs like this one to come crashing down.
People on the South Shore in a snow daze.
On the snow-packed streets of Boston, a new big dig is on tonight.
And some communities are going to extremes to get rid of these huge piles of snow.
From the South Shore to the city of Boston and all across Massachusetts, the night team has storm force coverage. 7 News at 11 starts now.
Breaking news here first at 11. Massachusetts is under a state of emergency tonight. A historic stretch of storms have left communities just paralyzed. This is a live look in Boston, and it is a ghost town this Monday night. The MBTA will not run trains tomorrow. No trolleys, no subways, commuter rails. This storm sending the troubled T way off track. We've had almost 6 feet of snow in less than 3 weeks, and it's not over yet.
Unfortunately, it is not. And all the snow already is just making it impossible to get around. The T making a snowy surrender, ending service tonight and tomorrow to prevent scenes like that. T riders in Quincy had to evacuate that train, walk down the snowy tracks. MBTA says the third rail froze, leaving all those people stranded. And the solution about where to put the snow has some people harboring concern, as Marblehead and a few other cities are now dumping snow into the ocean as a last resort.
Our team of meteorologists have been tracking this storm all day, all night. They have the snow totals plus the latest on another potential snowstorm this week, maybe even 2. But first, we want to take you outside. We have crews fanned out all over the Commonwealth. For the latest on the trouble with the T, we start with the night team's Dan Housley, who's live in Quincy tonight. Dan?
Well, as the snow continues to fall here, you can see the Red Line train that got snowbound behind me here. And this is important because this is what may have gotten the ball rolling on the T deciding to shut down for more than 36 hours. This is the site that prompted T officials to pull the plug on service. Passengers trudging through the snow to rescue buses after the storm left their train stuck between stations.
Very bad. The cold, train side cold.
Commuters stranded and the governor fuming.
So let's face it, this can't happen again.
The T's answer was simply to cancel all rail service tonight and all day tomorrow. T officials saying it's the only way to clear the ice and snow from tracks and switches and prevent the kind of delays and cancellations we've seen on the subway and commuter rail over the past week.
I think that the best thing at this point is kind of clear it just so we can clean up and get everything back in working order as fast as possible. So I'm good with it.
It was snow on the third rail that sapped the strength from this Red Line train, leaving about 50 passengers stranded for 3 hours until firefighters helped them walk out to shuttle buses.
For a while, they were just very patient, but of course, when they were all crowded into the one car, tempers started to flare and people began to be a little bit impatient.
Governor Baker indicated he wasn't consulted on the T's decision to shut down, but he supports it.
If they don't believe they can run a service after 7 o'clock tonight and don't believe that they can run a rail service tomorrow, I would rather have them say that because at least people can plan accordingly and plan around that.
The T says it will be delivering some limited bus replacement service, but remember, after this tough weekend, they said they were offering limited T service, and the governor said he was disappointed they couldn't deliver on that. We're live in Quincy. Dan Housley, 7 News Night Team.
All right, so from Dan in Quincy, we head to Boston, where the night team's Kimberly Bookman continues our coverage with more on the T's very rough day. Kimberly?
Yeah, Adam, a lot of people upset with the T, and here's why. Take a look at the big board here. It says that all of the trains are running on time, but that's a computer glitch. In fact, none of these trains are running at all. Take a look out here at North Station. You don't see any trains whatsoever. A rush against the clock.
Terrible. I'm trying to get home.
With a deadline to catch a train, a T, a trolley by 7 p.m., people packed into any car they could get on.
Hopefully I'll get home tonight.
Watch your boot. Watch your boot.
Some even standing shoulder to shoulder in pretty uncomfortable situations.
We're here in dark right now. Also, no heat going on in the cars as well.
I'm just waiting.
This woman, one of many sitting for hours watching the information board post their fate.
Everything is just so messed up now. It's very stressful. It's really put a damper bumper on my everyday life.
It comes after a day full of delays on the MBTA.
This morning I left at 8 in the morning and didn't get to work till 11:30, and usually takes me a half hour. And they've been breaking down all day, and I've been waiting an hour now. It's just really annoying.
But think this is a hardship. Just wait until Tuesday. No trains all day.
Tomorrow's gonna be a mess, so kind of a pain.
It's just inconvenient for everybody. It's like not good. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't closed.
Looks like people will just have to put one foot in front of the other to get to where they need to go. Now, certainly you can get to where you need to go without walking. You could use a cab or an Uber or even your own car, but the governor is warning that they want people to stay off the road so that they can clear them. So it's certainly going to be a difficult day come tomorrow. Reporting live from North Station, Kimberly Bookman, 7 News 19.
All right, Kimberly, thank you. So this storm started Saturday night. It doesn't have the intensity of the blizzard that we saw a couple of weeks ago, but it is impacting us in a big way.
And we are still seeing big snow totals, and in some places, like I know where I live, Pete, it is still snowing out there tonight.
Yeah, light snow continuing, and we just had a burst and a flare-up on the South Shore. We'll zero in on that. This ocean effect has been something. This has been the setup, not necessarily the storm system. There was a storm that went by far south of Long Island, but ironically, it never even came close to us. However, what it had set up across southern New England, high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, funneling moisture in from the Atlantic, and cold air going over that Atlantic has kept the snow going. And occasionally we'll have some disturbances go through the jet stream that ignite like areas of light snow and blue, but all the while that northeast wind has been undercutting that, and you can see what happens when the two meet. You see this little burst right here that comes out of Providence, boom, and once it runs into that ocean effect, it's, you know, almost opposite, exact opposite of the wind flow in the upper atmosphere and the wind flow down to the surface, and it just lifts the air tremendously, and that's why we've been seeing all that snow on the South Shore to the tune of close to 3 feet, and I think that's where we'll finish in some spots from Hingham to Cohasset, down into Braintree, and over towards Quincy as well. We still may see a few flakes flying first thing in the morning, but Weymouth picking up 26.5 inches, Holbrook 26, Cohasset about 2 feet, Revere picked up 2 feet, Boston in that pipeline of snow too, Braintree at 20, Auburn 16, and Attleboro outside of the loop at 14.5. It's still a pretty good snowstorm. We've had amounts all the way up through the Merrimack Valley between 14 and 17 inches. All right, so on to the next storm. We'll see about that ahead.
All right, we have this just in tonight, a school system that is announcing it will stay closed for the next 2 weeks. Elizabeth Norica with details.
Yeah, Kim, kids in West Newbury, Groveland, and Merrimack won't be back in class until February 23rd. The superintendent of the Pentucket Regional School District says concern about the amount of snow on school roofs is forcing them to close for the rest of the week. Since school's out next week for winter break, that'll be 2 weeks straight those kids won't be in school. When we asked the superintendent if that meant makeup days, he told us they'd be looking into it. In the newsroom, Elizabeth Norica, 7 News 19.
All right, Elizabeth, the weight of winter delivering a crushing blow to buildings. Today we saw roofs like this come crashing down. Our night team coverage continues now with Susan Tran in Rockland, where a warehouse there collapsed earlier. Susan?
And Adam, this roof just couldn't handle all of the weight of this snow, and you can see the building right there. It looks like an accordion. Now, there were folks actually working inside, and they said they heard something that sounded like a freight train. They started running for safety, and they say as they took off, they could see things crashing behind them.
It sounded like a train, and all of a sudden it was a train wreck.
First there was a creak, then the screech of metal before the roof at this Rockland sheet metal shop came crumbling down.
I just yelled and someone said it's coming down. I said, everyone out of the building, the ceiling's collapsing, let's go.
All 7 inside ran for their lives.
It came down and it just kind of fell in like on itself like this in the middle. I saw all the pipes and stuff falling and the lights and everything falling. It just kind of, it's like a freight train.
Everything was just falling. I don't know. I wasn't looking back. I was looking forward.
With the amount of snow we've had, our meteorologists say we're at 20 to 40 pounds per square foot, which puts many roofs over the building code threshold. The owners here say when they checked their building earlier, there was no way to know something like this could happen.
I looked yesterday, we didn't see any deflection inside at all.
In Bridgewater, a metal roof at this industrial plant caved under the pressure of the snow. Fortunately, no one was inside. And at this warehouse in Quincy, the roof buckled. It was empty as well. Back in Rockland,
we just had it plowed off, believe it or not, Friday.
The rush to move tons of snow off of neighboring buildings to make sure this frightening scene doesn't happen again.
It was scary. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to see it again.
And if you look at all of the snow around me, much of it is actually from the roof of this building here. Crews spent hours up there just shoveling off the roof, taking all of that ton of snow right off of it. So hopefully this roof doesn't collapse as well. We're live here in Rockland tonight. Susan Trent, 7 News 19.
A tragic situation involving a plow trying to clear the snow around a business in Medford. A man in his early 60s was killed when the plow hit him in the parking lot of a Whole Foods bakery. He had just finished his shift. He was walking to his car when he was hit. Police say it's an accident. They have not charged the plow driver. New at 11, a huge tree snapping and crashing down on an SUV in Norwell. People in a house say they hunkered down inside when they heard this huge bang. Night Team's Jonathan Hall is in Norwell right now. They got more than 2 feet of snow, one of the hardest hit areas, John.
Kim, it's a lot of snow, and it's coming at a bad time for Norwell. Yeah, they got the jackpot, but it's kind of a booby prize at this point. You see, they missed a shipment of rock salt. Many of the roads are untreated. In fact, they're not much better than this parking lot. At least 26 inches of fresh snow in Norwell, apparently too much for a giant pine tree, which fell on an SUV and nearly struck the garage as a family hunkered down inside about 7:15 p.m.
We heard this huge crack and then the car alarm going off, and I actually thought it hit my car first, so I ran out, and then we saw it hit my mom's car.
Quite a night. The owner of this 300-year-old house just moved to Norwell from Quincy.
I've never seen anything like this. You know, I've been around for a while, and this is unbelievable.
Fresh out of road salt, it's tough going on Norwell's Route 123, one of the main drags through town. Plows are trying, but the roads are snow-covered. The fire chief says there's a state of emergency.
We're having trouble keeping our roads open, getting them wide enough.
Somewhere under there is a Chevy Tahoe. Its owner worked 3 hours to clear his driveway.
They said we were going to get probably 12 to 14 inches. I'm pretty sure we got around 25, 26 inches, so I've been very busy.
A spin-out in Weymouth blocked access to Route 3. This town matched Norwell's jackpot total, more than 2 feet on top of the 4 feet which fell in the past 3 weeks. Are you proud that Weymouth is one of the jackpot towns?
I'm always proud of Weymouth.
Yeah.
I am.
Even when you get too much snow.
Even when we get too much snow.
Well, this is Route 53 behind me. An hour ago, this was completely clear, but now it is snow-covered again. As you can see, plows and cars are able to get through, but it has been a struggle here in Norwell. Reporting live, I'm Jonathan Hall, 7 News 19.
All right, John, we want to take you out to Alston right now, our traffic tracker cruising the streets, and the scene, this could be Beacon Hill, this could be East Cambridge, it's Alston. This could be your neighborhood, wherever you're watching tonight. Just a lot of work, challenging. You see a lone shoveler out there. Good luck to that person, and to all of you at home as you shovel your cars out tomorrow. Hopefully you can stay home, but if you have to shovel out. All right, the storm has left Boston just buried. The snow came down all day in this very populated, densely populated city. It means that people had to endure a few rounds of digging out. We mean a few, not just once. Let's get to the night team's Tim Caputo in Boston to explain from there. Tim.
Adam, you mean like every 15 minutes you look back outside and your car is covered once again? You know, we've seen plows out here all day long. As one passes us right now, they've been making decent work on the street, but they're really just playing catch-up. Check out this road here. I mean, you take several kicks and you still can't get down to the pavement, and this is a relatively major thoroughfare in the city. You look at the side streets here in Boston, and they're in much worse shape. In an already packed South End, they've officially run out of room.
The sidewalks aren't clear, so we have to walk in the street.
Pedestrians forced to walk on the road, sharing the street with plows and cars.
The mountains are so high, they're just falling over. So we got to walk on the street. It's the safest place to be.
Boston police concerned about this dangerous mix.
That we make sure pedestrians are paying attention and walking into the traffic as opposed to having their backs.
Many also spent hours trying to dig out their cars, caked in several feet of snow. The barrage of winter storms also causing tempers to flare.
That's so stupid.
This crew spent hours clearing a stretch of sidewalk, only to have all their hard work ruined in a matter of seconds.
We've made a pathway for the elderly
elderly people and handicapped people, and this is what he did. He's taking the snow from the streets and putting it on the sidewalk.
Police helped settle this bitter dispute. The mayor telling residents the city's top priority is to clear streets for cars and first responders, and he said property owners need to work just as hard on the sidewalks, no matter how big the mounds get.
Landlords need to step up to the plate here and really work on cleaning out their properties around their home, because a lot of the frustration people are having is that they can't get around the city. Part of that is that they can't walk down the sidewalk because sidewalks aren't shoveled, so they have to go on the street, which is causing trouble with traffic in the street.
So this is what you'll see all around the city. This mountain may be only 6-7 feet tall, some as high as 10, maybe even 15 feet, and they're pretty wide as well. The mayor said for folks who didn't shovel their sidewalks, the city handed out about 1,500 citations last week, and they will be going around this week as well. The mayor says they are poised to hand out just as many for folks who are not doing their part. That's the latest live from Boston. Tim Caputo, 7 News 19.
All right, big heads up. And up next, dumping snow into the ocean.
As cities and towns reach their limits, some are turning to the sea for a place to put it all.
And snow flying still out there, as you saw from Tim's report. Some of this may linger into the morning and some part of the day tomorrow, believe it or not, as flurries. And then I think it's time we start preparing for more snow on Thursday, getting some new information.
And checking out the streets with our traffic tracker, live but still creeping along. And behind some equipment, a lot of equipment out there tonight. This is Alston. Snow still falling in spots, as you can see by the camera lens. And the cleanup goes on. We have more next on 7 News at 11.
And our 7 Storm Force coverage continues this Monday night. Our traffic tracker is on the Mass Pike right now heading into Boston, and the Mass Pike is covered in white. The story on so many highways and side streets. Be careful, take it slow. The warning from government leaders is do not travel unless you absolutely have to.
So many of us struggling with where to put all the snow. I mean, I think that just about includes everyone. And some are taking what they consider desperate measures. The snow just piling high all over Massachusetts. In less than 3 weeks, we've had 71 inches of it. Some communities along the coast are turning to a last resort. That would be dumping it in the ocean. 7's Brandon Gano live in Marblehead, because that's one of the places where they're using this technique now. Brandon.
Kim, that's right. And it's not exactly something that communities want to do, but they are allowed to do it. And you said it, you know, with one storm after another and more snow piling on top of the old snow, they literally have nowhere to put it. So some communities in New England are just dumping it into the water.
Call it nature's snow melter. 4 towns in New England, Marblehead, Salem, Lawrence, and Lowell, have already received the go-ahead to dump snow in the ocean.
There's a process that's currently in place that's actually managed by DEP under Secretary Beaton, where local communities can seek a waiver if the snowfall reaches a certain level.
Underwater video shows the snow after being dumped in the Marblehead Harbor. The Department of Environmental Protection said dumping snow straight in pollutes the water with motor oil and gasoline from the roads. State law prohibits it. But in extreme circumstances where public safety is an issue, towns and cities are asked to simply notify the DEP.
The reality is it all flows downhill through the sewage system when it, or the drain system when it melts. So to me, it just makes sense. I think Marblehead's doing the best they can, and they're not trying to do anything bad.
Snow farms in Boston where crews melt the snow are full. Mayor Marty Walsh said they're looking into dumping snow into the Boston Harbor, but only as a last resort.
Right now we're in mode of clearing the streets. If need be, certainly I have spoken to Matt Beaton, the environmental secretary at the state, so we can begin that process if we need be. That's not right now something we have to do today.
And it's not as rare, actually, as you might think. The last time cities and towns in New England just dumped the snow into the ocean was in that big storm we had in the winter of 2013. Live in Marblehead, Brandon Gano, 7 News 19.
Now, 7 Weather with Chief Meteorologist Pete Bouchon.
Thought it was all tapering off and we can start moving on into the next storm, but we just had this flare-up that you could see here on radar that is still holding on to eastern Massachusetts. Not quite ready to say we're done completely. Some of this is accumulating still, so another inch or 2 is possible here as we go through the next couple of hours. Now, we move it forward and you can see that happening right there in that little burst. I think the model's caught on to that, but then we focus it more on the South Shore and the places that are still hurting with that snowfall of up to 2 inches, or I'm sorry, 2 feet Don't we wish? And then close to 3 in some other spots around the South Shore. So the top 5 snowiest Februaries. You think we've done all right? Well, we're in number 3 right now at 39.3, and I think we may end up somewhere near 1 or 2 here when all is said and done with this little burst going through. And yearly seasonal snowfall, I should say. Number 9 so far. I haven't cracked the top 5 just yet, but it's 76.5. Who'd have thunk, right? When we started December off so snowless and early November or January too. The pattern is such that these storms just keep rippling through. 2 things are happening here. The cold is being supplied by a big area of chilly air that's been dislodged from part of the North Pole and sitting right about Hudson Bay, right where the Circle 7 is. How ironic. And then we have the jet stream going over to invite storms to form and bring the energy. And of course, the water temperatures are above normal, and they're 40 degrees offshore. So cold with warm water temperatures, boy, that is a recipe for big, big storms if they can form. And they have been forming, and they are able to form thanks to the position of the jet stream. We stay in this pattern for a couple more weeks, folks. I'm not saying we're going to see storms for 2 more weeks, but we'll be prone to them. And as we've seen in the 7-day forecast, you think that's not going to hit us, and then boom, it ends up hitting us, and we keep looking down the road. And this one on Thursday and Friday now does look like it has a chance to hit us. So it's time to start preparing for the possibility of a foot of snow in the city right now. I think there'll be more across the South Shore and down through the Cape. This seems to be more of a southeastern mass storm than anything. Blizzard conditions possible, I think, for a brief period during the height of the storm going into Friday morning. But snow and a gusty wind through the South Shore, and the heaviest snow and the strongest winds to the tune of maybe 50 to 60 miles an hour possible out on Cape Cod. On the South Shore, I think this might be our zone for maybe up to a foot, and this may be close to a foot to a foot and a half, and then lesser amounts graduating or dropping off north and west of Boston. So we'll be right on the line of the foot storm, amounts here in Boston on Thursday and into Friday too. Not looking that far into the weekend. My maps didn't show that just yet, but that's also a possibility. 10 to 28 tonight, 28 to 35 tomorrow with some morning flakes and then a partly sunny sky. That is the potential there on Saturday into Sunday. Teens for temperatures, and there'll be a big fluff factor in that one. That storm also looked like a nor'easter. All right, we'll be along a little bit later on in the morning with more details.
All right, Pete, thanks so much.
All right, as we go to break here, we're going to come back and talk about how the snow is impacting your child's education. Stay with us. Coverage. We're in the middle of it this time, aren't we, everybody? Here's live pictures of Natick. Looks like they've made some significant progress on the roads, but a lot of people just aren't going anywhere with the T shut down. If you have children, there's a very good chance your student is staying home again tomorrow.
In fact, here in Boston, kids are about to have their 8th snow day this year. The night team's Anthony Miller in Boston, and the mayor is pretty concerned about this, Anthony.
Yeah, that's right, Adam, but he's saying he's keeping an open mind about what to do to replace these days that students are missing. And as this snow unbelievably continues to fall, remember, it started on Saturday. There are parents out there wondering what the educational impact will be of all of these storms. This historic winter taking its toll on the classroom.
The one thing that's unfortunate with schools here in Boston is over the course of the last really 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, our kids haven't had a full week of school.
More and more snow means less and less class for students in Boston. And while kids welcome every second away from the books,
I would rather be here than at school.
empty classrooms have many parents concerned.
It affects the kids not only by, not being able to go to school to learn, and then the weather on the downside, and then they got to make days up in school now.
Governor Charlie Baker also worried about the time missed by students and teachers.
Can you imagine being a teacher who's trying to create some momentum with your kids in the classroom every day, where you're in for 2 and out for 1, and back for 1 and out for 2?
It's not clear what will be done to make up these missing days, but there are some parents who actually think the school district is going too far.
They should be able to get to school. I don't think this is that bad.
They say they remember a time when snow day was the exception and not the rule.
When I was growing up, it wasn't no such thing as school days. We had to go to school unless it was really, really that bad.
Tough parents here in New England. That guy said he doesn't think it's that bad. Well, Mayor Marty Walsh saying he does believe it's bad. They said they will meet today. They did meet today, I should say, to figure out exactly what to do going forward. That's the latest live here in Boston. Anthony Miller, 7 News 19.
Certainly a discussion that isn't over yet. It's just beginning.
We need to figure this out.
Yeah, we'll be right back. We'll get through this together, everybody, as we start this new work week. It's been a pleasure being with you. Jimmy Fallon comes up next. I'm Adam Williams.
I'm Kim Casey, sleeping with my snow shovel.
Yeah, that might be a good idea, right?
I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight or tomorrow. How about you? Good luck with that. And we'll be back in the morning for you. Good night, everybody.